Good morning. If I can settle the room down. Okay. It's a very chatty room, yes. So we're getting there. Sound level's coming down. All right, don't make me call you out personally. So welcome. I'm so happy that we have such a great turnout for this event. I know the Q event's been a staple of the department for quite some time. This is only my second one, and we've made a few changes to the format, but it's so great to see the room full. You know, we've put up with not being able to come together for so long. So if I can start off by asking you to please stand so we can do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And I'm going to start off by just acknowledging some of the elected officials that we have in the room, and some of the not elected officials, but officials. So we've got Jeff Brower from Volusia County Chair. Don Burnett, from Mayor of Port Orange. Phyllis Bootlein, Vice Mayor of DeBary. William O'Connor, Orange City Councilman. Yeah, we tried to get him. He snuck in the back. Will Roberts, Volusia County Tax Collector. Suzanne Conchin, the Deputy Manager for the county. Okay. And though he's not on the list, he's my boss, so I'm going to introduce Cyrus Callum, Director of the Airport and Economic Development. Okay. Okay. We've all got to score brownie points wherever we can, right? So with that, you know, we're fortunate today that we've got UCF sponsoring this event. So I want to take a moment and let Carol Ann Dykes-Logue from the UCF, she's the co-director of the UCF Florida Innovation Districts and 8 site incubation programs. I'm going to ask her to come up for a moment and just say a few words.
And how many nights do we have in the room? Woo, charge on, right, yeah. So I actually have my timer because I could talk for a very long time about UCF. There's so much to tell you, but I wanted to just update you on a few things about UCF. You have this wonderful fact sheet there that gives you a lot of the statistics, but some of the things that you might not know is while we are a big university, 70,000 plus students, over 12,000 employees, we're young. Our first degrees were graduated in 1970, so we haven't been around that long. But we are bigger to be better. And if you look at our rankings nationally and internationally, there is so much evidence of that as we keep rising up the rankings in UCF News and World Report. For example, we are number 2 in U.S. News and World Report in our Emergency and Crisis Management program. Did you know we have graduate degrees and undergraduate degrees, Emergency and Crisis Management? We do. We are number 7 and continue to rise in the best online degree programs, and we've ranked nationally in the top 20 for years. Before the pandemic, we were a national leader in online education. Number 8 in hospitality. Your tourism and travel and hospitality industry, right? Right? But even more specifically, our Rosen College of Hospitality is number 1 in the U.S. and number 2 globally in hospitality education. And we are very proud to continue to rise in the ranks of most innovative universities, number 15 for all academic institutions, number 8 for public universities. And what that means is, while yes, we get bigger, we continue to improve how we offer education, accessibility to education, our service to our community, our diversity. We are a Hispanic serving institution officially, which we're very proud of, and we continue to grow in the students that we bring in the diversity and inclusion. But let's bring it home to Volusia County. 6 years running, we've been the #1 workforce supplier in aerospace and defense. And that's not us, that's Aviation Week saying that. So we are serving many of the companies that are here. We have extraordinary and nationally ranked research and internationally ranked research in smart manufacturing. In fact, one of our faculty was just listed as one of the top 20 academicians in the world in smart and intelligent manufacturing. So we're helping your manufacturers. But we care about your coast and environment too. We have a whole faculty cluster in sustainable coastal systems, and we are the home of the National Center for Integrated Coastal Studies, working with universities all over the country. Anybody in here go get a Moderna vaccine? You can thank our graduate, Darren Edwards, who is the director of immunology for Moderna and led the development of that vaccine. Anybody use QuickBooks or TurboTax? You can thank our graduate, Saren Godzali, who is the CEO of Intuit and has led every product development in that company for years. So we touch your life every day. And if you walk through the rental car lot here at the airport and just go right across the street next to the International Airport, you can come visit Connie in our incubator that we have grown 100 plus companies thanks to the ongoing vision and support from Volusia County government. Thank you, Helga, who we work with. A few of our graduates. I hope you never have to use the services of this particular graduate, but First Disaster Response is ranked as one of the number one in Central Florida disaster response companies. So if you do have a fire or a flood in your house, your washing machine floods, you can call them and they'll come fix it. If you happen to use a florist in town, that florist may be a customer of Detailed Flowers, which had launched several years ago a very innovative digital platform to help florists better manage their business, secure flowers, and deliver them even faster. Or maybe you have a pet and you can't get them to the vet. Well, you can call on Paxi, which developed the country's first pet ride-sharing service to take care of your pet for you. And if you have to, at some point in your life, have an implant, orthopedic surgery, you just might benefit from TechFit, who we incubated. Also, they utilize the services of the Microplex at Embry-Riddle, who we work very cooperatively with. We also introduced them to, and they worked with Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville. And they have launched the world's first 3D digital orthopedic surgery planning platform and will custom print that implant for you. And they are FDA approved, by the way. So with that, thank you for letting us sponsor this. The one thing at UCF that drives everything that we do is how can we better serve our community, impact your life, impact the companies that you're working with, and drive the economy. We're very pleased to be here. Thank you.
So it's pretty amazing, isn't it, the impact that the universities have on our community. I just want to take a minute and make Connie stand up. She's just been such a pleasure to work with, and she's such an advocate for our community. So those of you who don't know her need to know her, and those of you who do, congratulations. So, all right, so I am the opening act for three very special ladies that we're going to have come up in a little bit, but wanted to give you a little bit of information about what's going on in our community. And one of the things that we're adding to this event is, we all get so busy in our daily lives that we don't take the time to really recognize the milestones that happen throughout our community and celebrate them the way that we should. Because as soon as we do something, we jump to the next project, to the next event, to the next newspaper article. And I know Clayton's here, and he's written about a lot of these things that are on the wall. And I'm not going to read through them, but I want you to recognize this is what's happened in the past maybe 6 months. We didn't go back too far, and this is just a small amount of what's going on in your community from an economic development standpoint right now. We've got the city representatives here. We've got economic development representatives here. So take time to get to know them, find out what's going on in your community. It's just phenomenal. The B. Braun FDA approval expansion is actually, I think it's in today's paper. Right, Clayton? Yep, he's shaking his head. But at the council level, I wanted to mention the fact that we just at the last council, our council approved the UCF agreement for a 3-year stint, and we're very excited about that. And we're going to see some new programs coming out of there. And, you know, a while ago, we had entered, about a year ago, we entered into a memorandum of understanding with Jacksport. And the idea was to be able to increase the import and export that comes from Volusia County. Well, just this past month, we entered into an MOU with Port Canaveral as well. So we're developing these relationships to help our businesses move forward and look at new opportunities, new ways to grow. I mean, growing internally is fantastic, but if we really want to see a bigger market, we've got to reach beyond our borders. So with that, I want to show you what's going on with our export rankings. Good news, last year our MSA was number 11. This year, after the, not that it's the Jacksport agreement that did it by itself, but we went to number 10, so we jumped up. And we'll see what happens next year. If you look, you see the goods that are exported in Volusia: computer, electronics, transportation equipment, electrical equipment, and machinery. We've got some really impressive numbers, and I don't think people realize what's going on in the community behind the scenes. So I thought this was an important slide for us to show you. One thing that I know that you all are aware of is the amount of growth and construction going on, because you can't turn a corner without seeing progress in the community. So we wanted to show you the new construction permits. What you'll see here in the fourth quarter of 2021, we've had 86 permits in the fourth quarter, but the dollar amount of those permits just keeps creeping up and up. This new construction for commercial is commercial, but it also includes multifamily. So that's why you're seeing the numbers grow at that point. So it's good news that we've got going on. I mean, even if you look at 2020, we really didn't see the construction industry take a downturn with respect to getting ready for development and putting their permits in. You have to figure, though these are the residential ones, you can see there are a substantial number of those as well. And you have to figure all of those permits have to be processed and approved by your city and your county employees, and it's a lot of work that gets through. So if there's a little bit of a pullback on timing, please be patient. They're doing the best that they can with timing here. But it, again, shows great growth in our community and has new people moving in. We're seeing the average age in Volusia County go down a little bit because of all the new residences that are being constructed and new people migrating to our community. This shows over the past few years, we took it back to 2003 for the residential construction because we wanted to show before the recession hit. So you can see we're getting back up there in numbers as far as the number of permits, but we've surpassed the value of those permits. So Volusia County is really, it's growing tremendously, and it's doing a nice sustainable average pace. So it works nicely for the community to be able to keep up with what's going on. And all of those people moving in, of course, are our workforce. And everybody is struggling for workforce nowadays. For any business you talk to, those of you in the room are aware. So the more people we have come into the area, the more that are migrating to the area for employment opportunities, the better our unemployment numbers are. You can see we are right in line with the state and with the nation with respect to unemployment numbers. Year over year, we've seen a decrease in unemployment of 5.7%. Put the next one on. This shows you, this is my favorite graph out of the entire thing, because what it shows you is it shows you how we're closing in on the number of workforce that are labor people that are available for jobs. That's what the yellow is. It's the delta between the available labor force and those that are employed. The blue are employed, and you can see that's gone up on a regular basis, especially since COVID's, you can see we were down low on COVID, and it's really come back. The other thing that you can see from this slide is that our available labor, 261,000, is very close to the high number that we had pre-pandemic. So we actually are at the same labor force availability. We're actually growing on that front. So while the unemployment numbers are going down, the workforce actually is pretty steady as of right now. And if you look at the industries that those jobs go to, we've got quite a bit of growth in education and health services, The big winner, though, with respect to year over year from this quarter in 2020, no surprise, leisure and hospitality grew 2,600 jobs just within the past year. And what's interesting about that is that we're showing 2019 numbers as well as 20 and 21. 2019 showing you the pre-pandemic. We still haven't hit the numbers that we had pre-pandemic on the leisure. I think it's about, what is it, 18, I wrote it down, 1,834 is still the differential. So we're still behind in CBB employment opportunities. But this is where we are with the tourism employment trends over the past few years. We went back to 2017. You can see COVID, the drop. Obviously, there was a drop because so many things were closed. But again, we're coming back. We're almost back where we were pre-pandemic, a little more to go. And there are programs and workforce opportunities that we're working on with CareerSource and some of our businesses that you'll be hearing about to try to make sure that we get our numbers where they need to be going forward. With that, your pre-show has ended. You've made it through. I know it can be a lot to take in the numbers, but it's important that we look at them and that we understand the metrics of our community, because we can't evaluate what programs and what initiatives are working unless we look at where we were and where we're going. Being a numbers geek myself, this is second nature for me, but I know a lot of people probably just can't wait to see Georgia get up here and have a conversation. So, yes. So with that, I want to introduce these three wonderful women who I have gotten to know over the past 2 years, and Georgia actually I've known longer. Lori Campbell Baker, Debbie Mills, and Georgia Turner. Ladies, if you'd please come up. This is not the dating game. But so on your agenda, there's a brief bio of each of them. So I'm not going to give you the background on how qualified they are for their jobs, because we all know that they are extremely qualified, and they've been doing this for quite some time. What I will tell you is what I know about them, and that's much more fun. So Lori is the adventurer of the group. She's recently rappelled off of the NASCAR building. She rides a motorcycle, which I love, and she surfs. So she is definitely the adventurer out of the group. Debbie is the nurturer out of the group. Debbie has a golden lab, but she also is very involved with the Southeast Guide Dog program, and spends a good amount of her time working on that outside of tourism, and I just think that's amazing. Giving back to the community that way. And Georgia's left for last, because Georgia I've known for 10 years. She was actually one of the first women to embrace me when I moved to Florida and fill me in on all of the good, the bad, and the ugly of the community that I was working in. Mostly good. Georgia never says anything ugly. You'll learn that if you don't know her. And Georgia is the conversationalist, the warmth and the heart for me of the group. Not that the other two don't have heart. They do. I just don't know them as long. Do you agree? All right, good. And she's also a beer aficionado, which makes her that much more popular in our county. So with that, I'm going to start with a couple of questions for the panel. My team knows me, and they actually wrote the questions down in an effort to keep me from going off on tangents. Because my mic, is that okay? Because I so enjoy talking to these women that we can talk up here for hours, and that's not allowed. So we're just going to hit the questions, if that's okay, ladies?
Absolutely.
All right. So the first one, which I think is extremely important, we did vet these before coming here, so we're not going completely cold. The first one is important because I think there are so many people in our community who don't understand how marketing works and how it's funded. So I'm going to leave it open to who wants to respond, if more than one or one wants to respond. But can you inform the group on how tourism is funded and how the whole program works?
Yes. So this is my 5-minute elevator speech on tourism funding. And I start usually by saying, Volusia County is a unicorn. We're just special. We're different this way. We actually have 3 different taxing districts. So tourism funding in Volusia County is not paid by you as residents. It's actually paid by the visitors, and it's a great system. There are 2 bed taxes. Each are 3%. One is county-wide, which is the tourist development tax. That funds the Ocean Center and pays down those bonds. Really great system. The other is the convention development tax, and that pays for tourism. So the names are backwards. The tourist development tax pays for the convention center. The convention development tax pays for the Ocean Center. And I'm listening to Brian. Sorry. So anyway, the better job that we do in bringing visitors to stay overnight in our area, the more money that goes into these systems. So it is a great system. But I think it's important for residents to know always that it is paid for by the visitors. So the visitors not only are employing folks in our local businesses, but they are paying almost 40% now of the sales taxes that are collected locally, and that is huge.
So, pretty impressive, right? We all thought we were paying for it, but we're not. So, all right, question number 2. How did tourism do during COVID?
Well, I can take that one. Well, that was a shocker. You know, we've never dealt with a pandemic like this, but I will start out saying that tourism is one of the most resilient industries that I've ever worked for, and I think, period. Hard stop there. I remember on March 17th of 2020 when I think we were all on the same industry call, and they warned us that with this pandemic, the hotels would be shut down. Maybe you'd get 10% occupancy through September, and that's if the hotels would pay the taxes. So you can just imagine what you have to do. You have to hit the reset button. You have to start thinking about, you know, how you're going to sustain. We went personally through some layoffs, as I think all of us did, and you know, we just cut back on everything immediately. And then we had a process where we listened, we evaluated, we reacted smartly because it was very sensitive out there. We were very fortunate. Our governor opened the state a month into this, so by Memorial Weekend we were able to have our short-term rentals open, our hotels open, and we actually started getting visitation. With that, we heard from the residents, why are you bringing all these visitors here? They have COVID and all the, you know, epicenters around the country. But it was really interesting in the respect that the resiliency that we bounced back. We were on target to have a double-digit year that year. We ended up closing 9% down, which actually wasn't bad considering the other 67 counties of the state. We were the bright spot in the state, actually. Many of our conference calls were saying that Volusia was the bright spot, and that was because we listened effectively. We had the blue ways, the green ways, the outdoors. We had all those venues, and all 3 of us were marketing takeout services, everything that could help the visitor. We did a Pledge to Protect program that let everybody know that our institutions, our venues were taking care of being clean and protecting the visitor. So it was a combination of a lot of things going on, but
So I know, like, on our side, and I'm going off script, so just bear with me.
Already?
Sorry. I know on our side, from the business standpoint, we reached out through, the county had given the grants, and we reached out and tried to assist as well. But the marketing, I thought, that was done by the CVBs was just phenomenal, helping them, like you said, when it came to letting them know who's open, who has pickup available. The municipalities responded very quickly by allowing a lot of the restaurants and such to have outdoor dining, and they changed their code to allow for it on a temporary basis. But unless people knew that it was available, it wasn't going to happen. And the fact that you pivoted so quickly on focusing on putting out there that we're outdoor, right, that you could have open events. I know, Georgia, especially on your side, that was your focus, right?
I know, that's exactly what we had to do. I mean, the outdoors is one of our 4 pillars anyway. So, people wanted to come to the state parks, wanted to come to the National Wildlife Refuge, and we just kept saying, this is what you can do outside, this is what you can do outside. Even downtown DeLand has a a wonderful mural program. So we were putting out, even when our office was not open, we were putting out brochures outside saying, this is what you can do outside. Because people
I'm
were
going to get all
wanting
those wings in.
Well, yeah, that's right. But people really wanted to, to be outside. And that was what was so wonderful. And, some people were coming in from, once we did open back, in May, people were coming in from Palm Coast, from the villages, from all over the place going, we're sick of our trails. Can we go on your trails? What have you got? And so I think that's a really big surprise of COVID is how many people found out about us, especially throughout the state of Florida, that might not have known about us before because they were tired of their area. They didn't have anything else to do, and so they came over to, to find us, and they'd heard about the publicity. So that was really a great thing as people discovered us as a result of COVID.
I think that's a really good point. We changed our marketing quickly. As you said, we pivoted. So we went from, what were we calling it, like the Prime 9 markets that were all over, really brought it in, like reined it in. And I've got two board members in the audience, John Phillips and Josh Harris. It was a very concerted effort between all of the teams to say, let's market closer in. And some of those people that we introduced to Daytona Beach, to Volusia County, they're now going to be our repeat visitors. They learned a lot about us during COVID, and we've now taught them enough that they want to come back. So it's actually been, and Florida has always been a really good market, I think, for all of us, but it was actually an opportunity to gain more recognition within the state. So it kind of worked out. We are now at, I think, 10 months of record-setting bed tax revenues. And thank you all for that, because half of our visitors are friends and family, right? So that's you.
Yeah, I think that really is a big part of what you were able to accomplish by just looking at the environment, evaluating what was going on, and recognizing the fact that's why you were the spotlight, I guess, of the state, because you knew to market to the state. People were able to drive; they weren't able to fly. We're opening up again, though, Cyrus. Don't worry. That flight market's got to come back. But in the interim, you help the businesses, you help tourism, and you help the residents through the process.
And that's a really good point, because Visit Florida, which is the state's tourism marketing arm during COVID, took a different turn. And instead of going outside the state to get folks, they used their resources to promote intrastate travel. That helped us all. And so I know in Tallahassee, the extension of Visit Florida is on the agenda again. But it's important for smaller destinations like the three of us. Sometimes we think of ourselves as big. We're nothing compared to the budgets of the big dogs. Visit Florida helps us to have a voice, a strong voice, whereas we couldn't afford to otherwise. Also, I have to say, some of the events that we host, and events like the National Cheerleading Association, all that the Speedway brings, those are international exposure opportunities that, again, we couldn't pay for that. It's sort of a gift. We feel very fortunate here.
Yeah. All right, so you just mentioned all of the events that you host. I'm going to bring one up, and I'm going to show everybody. So just the other weekend, I went to New Smyrna Beach to their art show, and the people have commented on my mug. Is this not the coolest mug you have ever seen?
It really is. It's
Gorgeous.
a work of art.
It was from a local artist at that show.
Images.
I always end up spending more there than I intend to, but came back with a lot of Christmas gifts and something for myself. So, all right. So I'm going to rein it in. Go back on script. How has your target market changed now? I mean, are you expanding it? Are you focusing local? What do you see as coming up down the road?
Well, it's really funny for us because the majority of our marketing, just because I only have a $700,000 budget, and I am small, I'm minuscule compared to everybody else, but anyway, we definitely, continued to focus on Florida. And it was kind of scary at first because Visit Florida and all of these guys and everybody, everybody in the whole entire state was going after our market.
Yep.
But that's, it's really been a cool thing because we were still able to, get so many people. But we definitely like Blue Springs State Park that brings in, hundreds of thousands of international people. They saw it to where that was changing to where they were just getting Florida and closer in. So I think that that's been a kind of an unusual thing because some of us were doing so well in the international market, and we just had to kind of put on the brakes with that one and, focus more close in.
Is that changing, though? Are we going to be expanding again?
We did. We just opened our UK office, actually, for PR and very light trade. TUI, Europe's largest airline carrier, is flying into Brevard County, and actually they're pretty much sold out for summer bookings already. They've had there's so much pent-up demand in the UK as well. So we are starting to focus on the UK market because we know that they love Florida as a perennial vacation spot. It's considered safe and a good value, and we are definitely a good value over here. And the beaches, of course. And there's a wide selection, So, and we started marketing actually to our feeder markets, which is New England, the Midwest, and of course our feeder markets for the airport where the flights come in. We've definitely been seeing Texas and Philadelphia, of course Atlanta on our charts, being even stronger with the flights coming in. So we love working with the airport.
Same. We've absolutely expanded the markets, kind of re-expanded the markets that we're going after, and we do have some representation in the UK that's keeping us front and center with that audience. But yes, it's funny, the campaign that we had going into the campaign, which was the campaign that we love to hate on the local side, wide open fun, was brilliant when it came to telling people what Volusia County and the Daytona Beach area had to offer. So those assets and the way that they were depicted, and Kay Galloway is brilliant, and she's in the audience somewhere, the marketing and design director for the CVB, the messaging had to be right? So you couldn't just say, come on now. You had to be very thoughtful and very careful with how you invited guests into the area, as Debbie pointed out, because it could go wrong. So we have expert advice from Kate Holcomb, who's our communications director. Every message, I wanted to say, let's say this, and Kate would say, let's rein that back in. Because
the adventurer.
You have to have that voice of reason to get the message right, and it was a precarious balance, right?
Because it was hard for tourism people because we're saying, come on. So, we got a few local people, and nurses and doctors and everything that said, Georgia, what are you doing? Trying to tell people to come back here. That was early on. Then everybody kind of, changed a little bit. But it was nice to have the support of the state, to where it was like, please come, but travel safely. And we've got all the opportunities for the outdoors and for social distancing. And I just want to give some kudos to our our county parks and rec. I mean, everybody there just, took it just immediately and started, saying like, social distance, come to the trails, this is open. Well, of course, the beach was open, which was great, but to also have the, the parks open, to have the trails open. But to also do it safely. When you were wearing a mask, you need to wear a mask. When you were supposed to social distance, you were supposed to social distance. And that was just nice to have that consistent message throughout the whole county.
Yeah, I think visit responsibly is something that you saw across all channels. County did a great job of getting mask up, wash up, mask up. You'd think I'd know it by now. I still see them everywhere. They're all over our offices, too. But it just helped to remind people how to visit responsibly. And they did.
Yeah, no, the common sense factor definitely played in there, Still found it amazing that we had to tell people to wash their hands in the restrooms, but, whatever.
It's kindergarten all over again.
Yeah, starting over. But you did. I mean, you guys did an amazing job for Volusia when it came to being able to respond and to get the messaging out that we needed to make sure that we were doing things in a safe fashion. And you worked very closely, I know, with the county and the cities on that. Can you talk a little bit about how you work with the business community? Because that's what we're all here for today, right?
So I'll speak from the Daytona Beach Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. We have a lot of small businesses that are partners with us. We are not a membership organization, so it costs you nothing to be partners with us. If you have a business that is a tourism-related business, something that would be of interest to a visitor to the area, it could be a restaurant, you could be an outfitter. I saw Wynn Hamilton on our flyer. She did a lot of tours for us, outdoors kind of tours. Those kind of businesses, we add to our website. We help you to promote. If you have social media channels, we will help you to amplify those. So we work with a lot of small businesses because their work is what makes our destination shine. So we like to help them out.
And we also work, excuse me, with the local businesses and the chamber. I see Tracy Barlow there and Mike Armin, and they're all part of the Southeast Volusia Economic Development. So we just had a meeting yesterday, you know, and the synergy is amazing that's going on right now. The reset button has been hit. Everybody's, you know, on the same cylinder, and we're just like moving forward, and it couldn't be more of an exciting time. But like Lori said, we do give listings in our visitor guide on the website. We're here to help. We did a COVID resource page when the pandemic struck. It was one of our #1 visited sites, pages on the site, I should say. But yeah, we work with the hospital. Actually, they're going to be, Advent Health is going to be our health and wellness partner. So we're doing a lot of different copy and content for the visitor. You know, if you get stung by a stingray or, you know, whatever, how to
That
jog in
doesn't
90-degree weather. I'm not going to say sharks. I'm not going to say sharks.
That never happens.
Yeah, that's the bad word. No, actually, we're taking that media because, you know, we went through our PR software last year when we were getting all the shark bites, and it was over $750,000 in earned or unearned media through PR. So we're like, you know what? There's no bad news.
Oh, I'll tell you something kind of interesting that's happened and happened pre-pandemic and then especially now is that our visitor center in downtown DeLand kind of became a relocation center in addition to being a, you know, to being the visitor center because people were coming in all the time. They walk down our downtown and they want to move here. So, you know, and it just has become such a resource center for small businesses. I saw up there cookies and, you know, some of the different places that are, you know, some of the bigger places that are coming to West Volusia, and it's just we've become a resource for everybody because we've got all the good information, and people really do walk down the street in, you know, in any of our communities and want to move to where we are. So that's been a big, big change, but it's also happened with the small businesses. The majority of our businesses are small businesses. So, you know, we're out there every day. I mean, I'm trying to get out as much as I can to, you know, to find new people and see what's going on.
Yeah, we are mostly small businesses within our community. That's part of what actually gives us the charm that we have and attracts a lot of people to the area. And I have to tell you, on a personal front, I've always felt that tourism is the unsung hero of economic development. I mean, we treat the two separately, and they really shouldn't be because they're so united on so many fronts. And with that in mind, the county started working with all of the economic stakeholders in the community recently under the banner of Volusia Business Resources. So we've had a number of workshops where we talk about what's going on in our community. We've reached out to the businesses, found out where the gaps are, and the things that we needed to respond to so that we can make sure that our efforts are going in the right direction. And I'm so proud to say that these 3 ladies reached out and wanted to be part of the program when they heard what we were up to. And they have added such value in an environment that they're not normally thrown into. Right? We went through finance at our last meeting. We had Tom Daly, who's here in the room,
Tom was brilliant.
educate us a little bit. And some people's heads were spinning because of the amount of information. But the perspective that was given as a result and the collective intelligence that was provided because we've got people from varying industries coming together and having the conversation, I think has just been, for me, it's been eye-opening and it's been wonderful.
Well, and I love that you recognize the impact of tourism as part of our economic development engine because, you know, we like to say if we can get them here once, they will come back. But then they come back and they come back and they come back. And, you know, to George's point, at some point they come back and think, you know what, I would love to live here, Anna Ventura, right? And then after a while they think, and you know what, I would like to have my business here, right? So it is definitely a part of the impact. You know, our mission always is to get them to those overnight stays so that they're generating the bed tax. Once they buy a house, you know, you've got them from there. we'll fall just short of that.
Yeah,
to
but
stay
once they
within
get a
reason.
house, you go after the family members to come and get them to visit, right?
They do.
We promote
'Cause
staycations.
right? Because after 3 days, you want to put them in a hotel anyway. So
It's like fish, too long, right?
No, and I got to brag on Helga, because when I did first meet her 10 years ago, the first thing I said to her at a reception up in another county was, you know,
Why?
what do you think? No, I said, what do you think about tourism? And she said, well, I think it's economic development. So I appreciate that, and that's not
Truly
everywhere.
believe it.
So I really, really do appreciate that.
So I'm out of questions if I consolidate a little bit here. I wanted to open up to see if there were any questions in the room for these women. Unless you have comments that you want to
had
end
one
with.
question that we didn't touch on yet, which
Okay.
is how can the local community become involved in tourism efforts? And I spoke last night, I listened last night at the Beachside Neighborhood Watch group, and what I find in every group of locals, and I'll include myself, is we don't know all there is to know about the assets in our area. We don't know all the museums, we don't know all the new restaurants, all those cool things. We forget to explore because we're super busy, right? So take our websites, our social media, all of that, sign on, get involved, and then help us to spread the word, because if one more person tells me there's no culture in Volusia County,
Or there's nothing to do
there's
here.
nothing
I
to
dare
do
anybody
here,
to say that.
there's no good restaurants here, my head will explode.
And the other thing with the local community is that we need to really have them as ambassadors, because if we don't have a friendly place for visitors to come to, they're not going to come. They'll go somewhere else. And we also have to make them realize that the tourism money, the bed tax that comes in, it stimulates, and as was mentioned before, the sales tax is paid. I mean, that refurbishes the boardwalks, the parks, everything that they enjoy on a daily basis as a resident. So I always tell everyone, I know it's frustrating. You're waiting an hour at the Garlic to try to get in to get your dinner. But you know what? The Garlic would not be there without the visitor, because the locals can't sustain that on a weekly basis. So, you know, we always try to let everybody know that it's a cycle of money that flows through the economy, and we benefit because we live here in this beautiful paradise.
It's like mass on the holidays, right? I remember my parents used to always complain, I can get a seat all year long. Christmas comes, I can't sit down. Okay. So, all right, so let's open it up. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, hi. You know how thankful I am to you, and to recognize, just to make very short, recognize how important tourism, the right kind of tourism that affects the residents, and that we all, as business owners, residents, hotels, come together with an idea. New Smyrna's Beyond. I went yesterday to the Manatees. I go now once a week. We sponsor Manatee Cove. I've learned so much in my life, and I come from big cities that have been formed 25 years ago. Tourism is the key, and how you express it to bring the people, their families. I'm already onto my son buying over, which every time it's even more beautiful. Blue Springs, I mean, that's it. That's it. There's nothing to say. I mean,
Here's your
California,
$20.
bye-bye. Carmel, bye-bye. You know, everything bye-bye. This is Snowmass. This is Aspen. This is a whole new world we're heading to. And bringing the right people. And Lori knows I'm her number one idol. I mean, you have many idols, but for me, you're my number one idol. And I'm just grateful to be here and enjoy this incredible time.
If I could say, Anna walks the walk. So she is not only a business owner, but she is also very involved with the Convention and Visitors Bureau on their committee. So she is that voice that is always trying to help us to push us to new levels. So y'all probably saw we were in front of County Council last week. This week? This week? Thank you, Suzanne. It's a blur because of the additional revenues that we've garnered from all that's going on. to activate. And so part of that activation is almost $800,000 in additional higher income advertising campaign that we want to launch. So it's an exciting time. You know, strategic planning, everyone's doing it. We've got 3 years that we're mapping out next week. Y'all are doing amazing things, and I think this area is just so exciting right now.
Everything is coming together, right? And everyone is coming together, which is just as important. So.
Hi, I'm Kennedy Jacobs. I'm new to this environment, but I thank you for the information that you guys have shared. I am representing what we would call the urban community, urban culture. I've lived in this area over 54 years. One of the things I've noticed is that in the urban community, we have never really touched the tourism market. Even though culturally around the nation, internationally, culture is accepting, is valued, but how does the tourism industry here in Volusia County, that we welcome that type of tourism that meets a broader scope, if you will. And as a resident here, as a business owner, as a professional, I think it's time for us as a county that we haven't begun to touch tourism. If we begin to touch these cultural planes and value those experiences, I think tourism can go off the chart. We're now, I believe, and this is just my assumption, is that how do we open the gate to that? And I'm one of those willing people to say, hey, I know that there's value. I know that there's conventions and family-oriented things that can draw people here that can really help do the purpose of what you're doing, filling rooms, bringing taxes, doing the things necessary. It's what I call humanity. It's where we live, work, and play. This is my home. I want to live, I want to work, I want to play here. But I want to be a part of how that tourism grows from an urban perspective.
Well, you are sitting next to the right person, because Adrian and I were just in the arts and culture meeting yesterday, and she was singing your praises. And we were also talking about the various, we call it the Ultimate Trail Guide. And we have brochures, we have a lot of data on the website that I would love for you to dig into. The Heritage Guide, I think when Georgia was back with us, we had that. But yeah, that is one of our favorite and most requested publications. That's one of our #1 fulfillment pieces. It scratches the surface because there's so much here. You're absolutely right.
So Kennedy, it looks like you've got some work, and someone's going to be calling.
I want to talk to you too.
We talked about this subject last night. One of it is cleanliness. We know that some people take people over a different bridge to come to the beach because of the appearance. And while we have Clean the Beach Day, we have Clean the Park Day, maybe we need to have businesses or groups take areas of streets so that we look a little better. Just a thought.
It is important to look good. You're absolutely right.
Placemaking is key. Takes all of us.
Will Roberts, Volusia County Tax Collector.
We heard that, Georgia. That was out loud.
Yeah.
Do you get this
I know,
reaction
right?
all the time, Will?
So, I do have a plug for West Volusia, and before that,
You better.
I do want to say, Georgia, she is West Volusia, but I see her all over the county. She is always involved in trying to make sure that she knows what other things are going on. So, really do appreciate that, Georgia. One of the things I will say, though, is that I have 6 offices throughout the county, so I get to see a lot of the county. I live in New Smyrna, but I mainly work out of DeLand because that's where my main office is, but I do get all around the county, so I get to see a lot of the county. It's interesting doing all 6 offices in one day, but I still haven't clocked the mileage on that yet. But if you have not ever experienced a Me Strong 5K, that is tomorrow, starts at 8. If you've not signed up, you can get there at anytime between 7 and 8 and sign up, and you need to get there tomorrow if you want to experience it, because it is the last one. So, and just to let you know, it's the largest one in Volusia County, and you get to go around you get to go through Stetson University, some of the residential neighborhoods. It's one of the most unique 5Ks I've ever experienced. And you have to experience it for yourself to know what's going on. But, and talking about tourism, that brings in 5,000 to 7,000 people. So.
Okay, but the important question, what's your time?
Yeah,
What's your PR, Will?
My time is not that great. It's between 33 and 36, so I'm definitely not an elite runner or a competitive runner.
Just be out there doing it, right?
That's the important thing. It's true. Okay, well,
Just real quick. So you guys are great, Lori. I don't know you, Debbie, so well. You're great, but West Volusia has the best. I'm sorry.
We know,
As Will
we
Will
love
said,
her.
Georgia, I mean, she crappy fishing, racing, but I just want to say, I just want to say, first of all, I moved here 4 years ago today. Georgia right away came to me, I need to meet with you. That someone comes in new, Georgia's right there to meet with them. But your help in helping us, and I'm going to brag here, we will be Florida's next trail town. There's only 11. DeBarry's going to be the next one. It will be official on April 7th. But we couldn't do that without the help that we get from Georgia and her office, helping us promote our trails. When I told her we were applying, she came right there. I'm going to spend the day with you, and I'm going to do this. And so you help us. You help the municipalities achieve what we want to achieve. So thank you so much. And there's so much more I could say. So much more I could say, but I'm not going to bore everyone anymore. But thank you. So I just want to say thank you for all you do.
okay, with that, I'm getting the hook, unless there's one last. I know it's hard, right? It goes much faster. When we first talked to the ladies here about doing this, she's like, wow, that's a whole hour. Well, you don't get the hour. So, but I want to thank you all. I so appreciate this.
Thank you,
and
Helga.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. It's been fun.
Thank you all for coming.
And I'm sure there's still bacon sitting out there, so take something home with you.
More bacon, more
Okay.
coffee.
Bye.